Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you're having a positive and productive day. My name is Kel with the Planner Aisle, and today I'm reviewing the July intention box from Cloth and Paper and walking through a few ways you can use the items inside. The theme for this box is Bibliophile 3.0, Bibliophile being a person who loves books and loves to read, and 3.0 meaning this is the third Bibliophile box that they've sent. Outside of work articles, self-help, or like reference books or something, I'm not a huge casual reader, so I'm hoping that they include a few items that can serve a dual purpose. This box also celebrates James Baldwin's 100th birthday. If you're not familiar with James Baldwin, he was a notable writer and civil rights activist who wrote a number of novels and short stories, many of which have been turned into films and documentaries. He's also one of the writers who's influenced my own writing, so I'm really excited that Cloth and Paper is honoring him this month. Make sure to stick around until the end for my final thoughts and rating, and as always, feel free to leave me a comment below with any questions or topics you'd like for me to include in my next video. Without further ado, let's hop in. Opening our information packet, we have the member access card, the what's inside card that details what's in the box, and our September pop-up calendar. Next, we have our vessel for July. This month they included this vegan leather book sleeve. The outside is a very natural faux leather in this really nice grayish taupe color. The inside is a slightly fuzzier feel in a light gray color with that same color stitched around the sides. And then on the back, you just have Cloth and Paper embossed at the bottom. One of my favorite things about this sleeve is the lack of hardware. There's no clasps or buttons or anything. You just have this little band here on the outside that you tuck the flap into to close it. Super simple, and it gives the pouch a really clean and seamless look to it. I really like this little bag. It feels really nice to the touch. Feels very similar to like a nubuck or suede leather. It's also a pretty good size as well. I'll throw the dimensions on the screen here. This is considered a book sleeve, so you can certainly use it for books, notebooks, notes, or really anything that's on the medium to smaller side that you may want to store away. Because it is easy to carry, this would be great to use on the go. However, it may be a little too thin to store your larger books or thicker materials like planners or novels or something. Looking at some books here, these are a few of my journals. All of these are around A5 size and range anywhere from 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. If you look at this book, this is roughly the same height and width, but it's a full inch in diameter and it's just a little too chunky for this pouch. I originally wanted to use this to house a few inserts and dashboards, and I may still use it for that. Even if you have a larger size like 1/2 letter, this could be a really great option for you. If you do carry physical books with you, as long as they aren't too thick, I think this will work really well to protect your cover and add a nice design element as well. Vegan leather typically fares a bit better in the elements, so you may not need to baby this too much, but because they chose a more suede-like material, this may end up showing some wear and tear a little easier, but that's not something that I think you should worry about too much. Even if the color does fade or get stained or something, the pouch itself feels very high quality and it's very well made. Unlike the paper envelope that they sent a couple of months ago, I do feel confident that whatever you put in here will be fully protected. I haven't fully decided how I'm going to use this just yet. I may go with the storage idea, or I may end up using it as a case to hold my journal. Either way, I think this is a great little pouch to have. It's very well designed. It can complement a number of different styles. Definitely a good bag to have in your collection. Next, we have one journaling card this month. This is the library journaling card. It's a square white textured cardstock with quite a bit of text on the front. You have a lot of fields here that are meant to resemble a library card. You have the author's name, title, and then a column for your date, borrower, and return date with a quote by James Baldwin repeated under each column in a dark gray text, and the same quote handwritten over top in all uppercase. So first, this quote is really powerful. It's taken from an essay that Baldwin published in the New York Times in 1962. I mentioned this earlier, but if you're not familiar with him, I highly encourage you to read his works, particularly his 1955 essay collection, Notes of a Native Son and If Beale Street Could Talk. He really was a fantastic writer, and I'm glad to see his work being recognized. That being said, design-wise, I'm not a fan of this card at all. There's just way too much going on here. There's too much text, too many lines and fonts. I get that this was supposed to resemble a library card, but it's just too cluttered and messy for my taste. I probably won't use this, which is a bummer because I'm a fan of James Baldwin and I love journaling cards. Unfortunately, this will go in my giveaway basket. Next, we have the July monthly reflection card. We get one of these mirrored cards each month. This month, the text across the front says Bibliophile, which is the theme of this box in uppercase, and the question prompt says, rereading the same book unlocks new discoveries. Are you digging deeper into the story or uncovering something new about yourself? I found purposes for a few of these, but I'm not a huge fan of getting one of these each month, so this one, along with future reflection cards, will also go in my giveaway basket. If you want to see how I use the earlier cards, make sure to check out my other Subbox review videos. I'll make sure to link the playlist in the description. Moving on, we have one dashboard this month. This is the Purpose of Art dashboard. It's a smooth white cardstock with text on the front and a blank back. On the front, you have a quote by Baldwin in black text that says, "The purpose of art is to lay bare the questions that have been hidden by the answers," with a silver cursive text over the words art and answers. And then at the bottom, you have 3 columns of text. First, you have the author, the year the quote is from, and cloth and paper. And then in the second and third column, you have more text detailing how art is perceived by different people and the deeper meaning and influence that each art piece can hold. I really like this dashboard. It reminds me a bit of the Kobe dashboard from a few years ago. You have the same overall design format, the larger side-aligned text with 3 columns of text at the bottom. It's a very structured layout that looks really nice in a planner. I still use my Kobe dashboard every now and then, and I'll definitely use this one too. I don't love this layered cursive text, but I also don't hate it. It's just a little unnecessary to me, but it's not a deal breaker or anything. If you have silver rings or discs, this will pair really nicely with that hardware, so that's a nice little bonus there as well. Art is subjective, so I do like the quote and the detailed text at the bottom. I also really like the overall look of this dashboard and the look of it in my agenda. I'll probably use it towards the front of my planner, maybe in front of my overview section. Either way, you will definitely see this in my rotation. Next, we have a set of sticky notes. These are matte white sticky notes. They come in a set of 50. You have read at the top and then 4 columns in the middle, one for title, author, start date, and end date. And then at the bottom, you have the cloth and paper logo and another quote by James Baldwin from his book, The Fire Next Time, that says, "Love takes off masks that we fear we cannot live without, and no, we cannot live within." These are nice sticky notes. I love getting these in our boxes. If you're a reader, I think these are really good to have. I do like that these are larger than standard sticky notes. These are the more standard sizes here to compare. Even so, it still may be a little cramped for the amount of writing that these require you to do. Because you don't have a lot of space to work with, you'll definitely need to abbreviate, especially if you have a longer book title. I probably won't use these for books, but I am thinking about using this for articles or music that I'm interested in. I'm a huge music buff, and there's so much new music coming out each month that I just can't keep up. I may use the first 2 columns to list the song and artist, and then the last 2 columns to check off when I've listened to it or added it to my playlist. You can also use these as a basic checklist, task or wish list, gift log, or pretty much whatever you want. Just get some thin washi tape or small labels to cover the text and you're good to go. I'm glad that they included some sticky notes, even though these are designed to be used as a reading list. With a little work, you can repurpose them, which is 100% what I plan to do. Next, we have a set of page flags. They included 3 colors. We have a seafoam green, walnut, and then this mahogany wine color. These are transparent and each stack has a set of 50. Similar to sticky notes, I love page flags and pretty much always find a way to use them. The thing that I like about these is the shape. I have a ton of flags in my collection, but I don't have any in this small rectangular shape. It looks nice and neat on your page, and the shape gives you a different sized area to test out when you're writing. Similar to last month's box, they included these deep earthy tones, which complement a wide variety of color schemes and gives your planner some color and detail while still remaining neutral. I love these flags. I'll definitely use these in my agenda and my work notebook. As a reminder, if you don't have an oil-based pen, you'll definitely need one in order to write on these so your ink doesn't smear. But I think these are a great addition to any planner's collection and a must-have planning tool. Next, we have the left-bound Annotation notepad. The spine is a walnut vegan leather, the same material as the book sleeve, with Notate on the left-hand side and the cloth and paper logo on the right. And then you have a set of 75 transparent vellum sheets that you can tear off and use on your page. So I'm a big fan of transparent sheets and vellum. I love the idea of vellum overlay on dashboards and inserts to add protection and a little design. It always makes your pages look so much more elegant, and it's an easy way to add layers if something is missing from your main design or spread. I also like the idea of transparent sticky notes. I have several here that I use to edit pages or add text or sketches on a page that I don't want to damage. Initially, I loved the idea of having these on a notepad so I could use them easier. However, these are not sticky notes. They are loose, transparent sheets, which makes them completely unusable for me. You tear these off, and then there's no way to stick these to your page, which makes it impossible to use on a specific spot on your page unless you use a clip or another kind of adhesive with it, which defeats the purpose of the ease of use pad. I feel like this could have really excelled as a sticky note pad, but instead they went with a tear-off pad. If these were matte, then you could use them as like note paper tear-offs or to store notes or memos or something, but because they're transparent, they work in conjunction with whatever you're writing on top of, which essentially makes these by themselves completely useless. I use transparent sticky notes all the time and was really looking forward to a large sticky note set of these, so this was such a letdown for me. You can purchase some adhesive separately or use them with a clip or another sticky note to add it to your page, but for me it's just too much trouble, so unfortunately these will also end up in the giveaway bin, but I do think that the idea of a transparent pad is great. I just wish that it was fully thought through. If you really want to use these, you can always use them as sketch paper or to write things on top that don't correlate to anything underneath. You could also draw on these and use them as bookmarks or page markers and slot them in your books or notebooks to mark your spot. You can also use these for notes and use them strategically in certain areas on your page, or maybe use them along with cards and slide them inside envelopes or with thank you notes. If you enjoy printables, one thing you can do is try printing directly on them and then using it over a journaling card or something. So there's definitely some options for you if you don't want these to go to waste. Next, we have a leather bookmark. It's a medium brown, sort of caramel color in the same nubuck material that the sleeve and the notepad spine are in, with the cloth and paper logo on the front. This is a really fun and unique take on a bookmark. You have this really cool arch that slides over the corner of your page here where you can mark your spot. I really like the color and the feel of this. I'm also a fan of the shape. I don't have any bookmarks like this one, and I love that it's different than most of the ones that you see on the shelves. I originally planned to use this in my main agenda because the color would match my planner perfectly, but it just doesn't look great on my spread for some reason. I think because I'm using a ring agenda and this bookmark has a bit of weight to it, it weighs the page down in the corner and it just doesn't look as clean as it could. Another thing that you want to be careful of is the amount of paper that you slide this over. Make sure that you aren't covering too much paper or the center here will bow out and it'll look odd and potentially slide off. But this is one product that performs the best for what it was actually intended for and where I plan on using it, and that's in books. So looking at it here, you can see how much cleaner it looks on the page. Maybe that's because it's bound, so your page has a bit more structure and support as opposed to rings. I think this could also work well with disc or spiral planners as long as your paper is strong enough. Another thing I like about this is that the stitching leaves about 1.5 millimeters of the bookmark off the page on both sides, making it really easy to see where your spot is if you have this vertical or horizontal in your bag. And my favorite thing about this is that it doesn't seem to indent or cut into your page like metal clips do. On the flip side, I think the main thing that you want to look out for with this one is page discoloration. I remember Cloth and Paper sent a black half circle clip a long time ago, and it yellowed one of my favorite dashboards. Ever since then, I'm very careful placing these on something for a longer period of time without covering that surface with a sticky note or acetate or something. This one may or may not cause any damage, but just something to keep in mind if you're marking something important. If you don't want to use this as a bookmark or page marker, you can always use it to group thinner items together like journaling cards or envelopes or something. Like the other items in this box, it's very well made, the color is neutral, and the style is simple but unique at the same time. It gives your books or agenda a touch of decor without looking too overbearing. I honestly think this will be a hit for the shop. Sometimes it's the simplest things that have the most impact. I'll be using this in my books when I actually get around to reading them, but let me know in the comments how you plan to use yours. Next, we have one set of inserts this month. These are the second edition Bibliophile inserts. You have one page front and back of to be read inserts where you can list the books that you intend to read, 15 reading log inserts, also front and back, where you can write out details on those books, and then one demo page that gives you examples on how to use each insert. So starting with the first page, you have your date field at the top and then several columns below. Looking at the demo page here, in the wider column, you can list books or other material that you want to read, and the smaller columns are where you can list the dates that you've read or use it as a mini checkpoint. On the demo, it looks like they have this date range for a month, but because there's only one sheet and so many lines, it may be a good idea to have this as a quarterly log, or maybe even ignore the date field altogether and just use the dates in each block. Looking at the reading log inserts, you have your date field at the top and then 6 half columns with a heading, a larger blank section, and then 8 lines for you to write out any details or feelings related to the book. Looking at the demo page again, you can see that they use the headers to list the dates they read the book and the blank section to write the title and author. In the line section, they use the top line to rate the book, and then the lines below that to write the things that they liked the most, how it made them feel, things that they learned, and anything else that they wanted to remember about the read. You do have 15 pages of these front and back, so unless you're reading more than 12 books a month, I think these should last you a really long time. If you're a big reader or have plans to read more, I see this being super beneficial and a great way to track your progress. If you're a casual reader like myself or tend to read sparingly, you can repurpose these inserts for just about anything that you want to track. So instead of books, maybe you want to track music or new releases from artists you've had your eye on. You could track movies or TV shows that you haven't gotten around to watching. If you're learning a new skill or something, you can use these to list articles, how-to guides, or other material, and then use each log page to track each new skill and your progress around them. So for example, if you're trying to learn chess or increase your knowledge around money management or investing, you can use the first insert here to list clips or videos that you want to watch, check off when you finish them, and then use the log to list a few tips and tricks or takeaways that you got from each video or article. That's what I plan to use these for. I'm taking InDesign and Photoshop classes, and I'll probably use a few of these to track my progress there, and then use a few other sheets to track music I want to listen to, and then maybe a few reference books. That's one thing that I love about keeping these inserts blank. It still gives people who aren't big readers an opportunity to use them while still serving its main purpose as well. Overall, I really like these inserts. I think we can get a lot of use out of them. Really glad that they included them in this box. The last item this month are the writing utensils. This month we have one highlighter and one pen. Looking at the highlighter first, this is a Zebra Mildliner Mix highlighter in the color Coral Pink and Lemon Yellow. Mildliners are my favorite highlighters to use. I have them in just about every color. This one is a dual color, which is super interesting and gives a nice pop of color to whatever you're highlighting. So doing a test here, it writes really smooth and has that classic feel and texture of the Mildliners that people love. One thing to note is you do have to press evenly on the tip to get both colors. If not, you'll end up getting more pink on your page than yellow. On the flip side though, if you want a thin pink line, you can write with this on the pointy tip and you won't get any yellow. Also, due to the mechanism that they use to blend these colors, the hand grip section is not the most comfortable, so it doesn't feel all that great in your hand, but that's a super minor thing, especially if you're using it for short periods of time, but just something to note. I like this highlighter and the mix of colors. I don't have anything like this, and it's such a fun take on color. I am a fan of the more earthy tones, so I don't know where I'll use this yet, but it's definitely a fun one to add to your pen bag. Second, we have the Uni Pen Fine Line in the color black. This is a waterproof pigmented ink with a 0.5mm tip. When I first saw this, I thought this was an oil-based pen because it looked similar to the Uni Pro oil-based marking pen, but it's not. This one is strictly for writing on paper or other textured surfaces only. So doing a pen test here, I like the way that this one writes. It's definitely a heavy ink, very, very dark with a rich pigment. I think it's a good pen. I was hoping they would send an oil-based pen because they sent 2 items with transparent surfaces, but if you're looking for a really dark pen with a smooth writing experience, then this should be a good option for you. And that wraps up the Bibliophile 3.0 box from Cloth and Paper. Overall, I think this was a good box. Most of the items match the theme really well, and if you're an avid reader, I think you'll enjoy much of what's inside. I also appreciate that they honored James Baldwin with this box as well. It was the perfect way to celebrate his work as a novelist with the bibliophile theme and recognize the importance of literature and art in a creative space. My favorite item this month is the Purpose of Art dashboard. I love the style and the layout here. It matches my color scheme and style in my main agenda perfectly, and the quote is a really nice one to have in the front of my planner. The silver is a design choice, and I'm not sure how people are going to feel about it, but the silver overlay sort of speaks to the quote and the text at the bottom, whether that was intentional or not. I think it's a great reminder that art is subjective and open to interpretation, which adds to the beauty. My least favorite item this month is the left-bound annotation notepad. This was sadly a missed opportunity by Cloth and Paper that I think could have been easily avoided. The idea was there, but having this as loose vellum sheets really limits what you're able to do. One thing they could have done is make this a duo pad booklet where the left side is loose sheets like this and then the right side is a sticky note vellum. That way you get the best of both worlds and users have the option to use it however they want. All in all, I'm rating this box an 8 out of 10. This box was for the readers and book lovers out there, and it definitely met that purpose. I think the book sleeve was fantastic, and a lot of people are going to get a lot of use out of it. We also got some uniquely made items like the arched bookmark, the duo highlighter, we got some more page flags and sticky notes, and then we got a set of inserts that can be used to track a number of things, even if you're not a big reader. One of the challenges Cloth and Paper has is curating a box that appeals to a large number of people when, as we know, everyone has different tastes and likes different things. I think this box is a great example of that, and also an example of how to have a tailored box while at the same time having those same items work for people who aren't fans of that particular theme. Sometimes they do great with that, other times not so much, but this month I think they did a great job including things that non-readers can repurpose however they wish. This wasn't my favorite box, but then again, I'm not a bibliophile, so this really wasn't designed for me, but if you are a big reader, I would love to hear your thoughts on this box in the comments. And that is it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you do want to see more planning and organizational content, please hit that like button and subscribe. You would help my channel out a lot. Also, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram for more planner tips and inspo, sending positive vibes your way. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of your day.